Good morning, students. So, today we will discuss the loop structures in C. So, first of all, what are loops? Loops allow user to perform repeated actions on a certain set of statements. So, if we want to execute repeatedly the particular set of instructions, we use loops. Loop basically has three parts. First one is initialization, second is the condition, and third one is increment and decrement. So there are three types of loops in C language: while loop, for loop, and do while loop. So we will discuss all these three loops in this session. So let's first discuss the while loop. While loop has the following formats. First of all, we initialize the variables, and this is done before the while loop. Then there is a condition. If that condition is satisfied, then control will enter the while loop and execute the statements. Then there is an increment and decrement of the variables. So while loop evaluate the condition before any loop, before every loop. Loop is executed only when condition is true. So let's discuss an example to understand the while loop. Let's suppose I want to print welcome for 10 times. So how we will do that? First we need to initialize the variables. So I have taken a variable count and I am initializing it as a 0. Then I need to print it welcome how many times? 10 times. Then I will put a condition while count is less than 10. So this condition, if this condition is true, it will enter into this while loop and we will print welcome. Then count will become incremented. So if the count is 0, next time it will become 1, then 2, 3, 4, and this loop will execute until count become 10. So welcome message will be printed 10 times. Let's see that. So first, as we discussed, we need to initialize a variable. I say int count. I say count here. Then I say you can initialize here itself if you want to. Then I will say while what I need to say count less than 10. Then what I need to print a welcome message. Then I need to increment the while loop. This is very important to increment the loop. Otherwise, it become a infinite loop. So let's run it. So it will print welcome around 10 times. So this is how while loop works in C language. Okay, the next loop is a for loop. The for loop in C is the most generic looping structure. The loop header has three parts: an initialization, a condition, and an action. So you can see that the syntax of for loop is different from the while loop. Here for loop we have a header in which we write for, then here we write the initialization, then that there is a semicolon, then there is a condition, then again semicolon, then there is a action. Then here we write a statement which need to be executed. The initialization is executed only once before the loop. This is very important to understand. The loop continues to run as long as this condition is. So this is the execution flow of the for loop. Here initialization is executed first and this initial part is executed only once. After that, second number condition is check. After condition check, this statement will be executed. This is the third part. After all these statements are executed, then this action perform. In action, generally we write increment and decrements of the variable. So this is very important to understand the flow of the for loop. So first is initialization, then condition, then statement, and then let's write the same program to print hello 10 times using for loop. I say int count. So here I for loop says that first we need to initialize 4, count is equal to 0. Then condition is there, count less than 10. Then there is an increment and decrement. I say count plus plus. And I am saying printf welcome. So this message will be printed how many times? 10 times. So let's create same program using for loop. What is the syntax for count is equal to 0? If I want to start, okay, let's well discuss this one. Count less than 10. What I need to print is printf slash n. Slash n is basically for new line character. Do I need to increment here? No, because increment is already getting taken place here. Let's run it. So welcome is printed 10 times. So here I am initializing to 5, 0. If I initialize it to 5, so now what will happen? This loop will start executing with 5 and it will execute it up to 10. Let's run it. You can see that. So very important part here is count plus 1. Okay, let's look into this. If I also say count plus plus here, so now what will happen? How many times? Let's start from 0. Then how many times this loop will be printed? So let's see. First count is 0. Then condition is checked. 0 less than 10. That's true. Then welcome is printed. Then again I am incrementing here. Count plus plus. So what will happen? Now count become 1. After that, it will goes to here. Now count become 2. Now for again condition, this is check. 2 is less than 10. Yes. Then it come here, it will print welcome. Then now count is again incremented as a 3. Then this will be executed, count become 4. So you remember that the execution flow is this initialization is run first and it is run only once. This condition is checked next, that is second number, and then it is checked every time. Then these set of instructions are run. After this set of instruction, this statement is run. So for this program, count will be incremented twice. Then it should, how many times count will be printed? 5 times. Count is printed, welcome is printed how many times? 5 times. So we again just pointing out, we need to start the for loop and we need to terminate the for loop. And under statement within this curly braces is the part of for. Now different form of for loop. So one thing we need to understand is all 3 parts of for loop that we just discussed, initialization, condition and action, all 3 are optional. None of them is mandatory. So what does it mean? If I skip the initialization part, will it work? Yes. So here what I am doing is I am initializing here, but I am not putting anything here. I am skipping it. You can see the blank. So it will still work. Let's see how. I will skip here. Let's make it a general one. Let's move it here. and let's start it from 5. So now count is 5, we don't have anything here, that's pretty fine. Then it will start here, then this. So how many times it will be printed? 5 times. So this initialization is optional. In fact, all 3 are options, will we see that. Now when the condition is not provided in the format, so now I am skipping the condition part, but we need to terminate the for loop, because how, without giving the condition part, loop will execute infinitely. So what I am doing is I am giving the condition here. If count is less than 10, I am saying break. So break is generally used to terminate the loop. Next we will discuss the break. Just here try to understand the concept of not providing the condition. So what I am doing is I am not providing condition here, I am not providing initialization here, and in the for loop I am providing condition like if count is less than 10, break. So understand that break will terminate the loop, that will terminate the loop. So let's see. I am not printing anything here, and I am saying if count is less than 10, then what I need to do is I need to break the statement. So how this will be executed? Count is 5, it's then come into this second part, because second part is blank, it will come enter into this, then it will check whether count is less than 10, which is false, then it will print welcome, then it goes here, count become 1, then again it will enter the loop, then it will say count is less than 10, yes, then it will print the mat. So in same manner it will print the count 5 times. It's not printing. It's not printing. Oh, we have put the condition. Have you noticed that we have put the condition less than? So why it's not printing? Understand it. Initially count is 5. So 5 is less than 10, so it breaks. So it automatically coming out of this loop. So it's not reaching here, that's why it's not printing. So condition here need to be count greater than 10. Let's run it. So it's printing welcome. I hope it's clear to everyone. Next part is I'm not providing increment and decrement. That is, this is a form. In this form, everything is optional and I'm not providing it. Then where I am providing an increment, I am providing the increment within the for. So let's see this. I'm not providing count plus plus here. So you can see that this is another form of the for loop, and it is asked number of times in the interviews or in the paper. So what will be the, so I need to prompt a count. If I don't increment the count, then count will always come 5, so it will be an infinite loop. Okay, I'm not providing a count. Let's see how it's working. So it's the it is printing welcome again and again, and this loop will never terminate. You can see that it will keep printing the welcome. Why it's keep printing the welcome? Here value of count is what, 5. 5 is greater than 10, no. So this statement will never executed. So it will keep printing the welcome infinite times. So we need to provide the increment decrement. So if I say count plus plus, now how it will work fine. Because it will work fine, because count is always getting incremented. So you can see this is a very popular form of for loop by providing nothing in the for header. Okay, now understand the difference between while and for loop. So we have, first of all, understand we can use while and both for loop anywhere, but how to decide when to use for and when to use while. For statement is mostly used when we know the exact specific number of iteration. That is that is generally when we know how many times we want to run the loop. So we generally use the for. The while loop is mostly used when the exact specific number iteration is not known. So this is the syntax of for. We already have discussed that. Another third point is important is for loop. We can have all the things are optional, but while loop, in a while loop condition is not optional. So what that does mean? I cannot do this in while. Let me remove only this. I cannot do this in while. Like count this in while. While cannot be empty, this here condition is mandatory. So this is a compilation error. So you can see that it shows that that's an error. So the condition in a while loop is mandatory. Okay, so next loop is, and the last loop is do while loop. Do while loop is similar to while loop, but with the test condition is at the bottom of the loop. The loop body, so in do while, the loop body will always execute first and at least once, and then condition is check. The loop general syntax is below. So here what we do is we put do, then we put set of instruction, and the condition is at the end. If you remember, what we discussed is in while loop the condition is at the top, but in do while loop the condition is at the bottom. So let's run a program, same program, to print this 10 number of times. So first I need to write do, then braces start, then print, then incrementing a count, then what I say, while count less than 10 times. Let me format it. So this is the do while. Here first we say do, then we put the conditions or not conditions, statements, then we increment it, and then the condition is checked at the end. Let's run it. It is printed while as a 5 times. So I think this is clear. So now let's see the difference between while and do while loop. If I say count is 20, now what will happen? Condition is count less than 10. Condition is false. Will this loop be executed? Any idea? Yes. This loop will still be executed at least once. Why? First it goes into this, it's a do, then it's a print welcome, then it increment it, it becomes 21, then condition is checked. Then here loop will be terminated. So in do while loop, it will print at least once, even the condition is false. Let's look into this. So it is still printing a welcome message. So what will happen in case of for loop? Let's understand this. Same program for for loop. Oh, sorry, while loop. What I say? While what I will say, count less than 10. So same program I am doing with the while loop. Here count is 20, count less than 10, print there. Here condition is checked at the top, so condition itself become false, so it will not enter into this. So here welcome message will not print. Let's run it. No. So the major difference between while and do while is that while loop will execute only when the condition is true, whereas in do while the condition is checked at the bottom. So do while loop will execute at least once even the condition is false. So the question arises where to use a do while and while. So generally we use do while when we want to take any action from the user. So like program, if we want to say we will execute the program unless until this user say terminate the program. So in that condition we will use do while loop rather than the while loop. So you just need to keep in mind that the situations where we need to use the loops. Another important thing is a break statement. We already discussed that. Now let's discuss in detail. Sometimes we want to terminate the loop premature based on some conditions, then we use the break. So break statement is always used between within the loops, and it will terminate the loop prematurely. So break statement terminates the execution of the nearest enclosing loop or conditional statement in which it appears. Control pauses the statement that follows the terminate statement. So let's look into the example of the break statement. So I have a program in which I want to print a number between 1 to 20. But I don't want to print a number which is an even and a multiply of 10. So what if this program says? In this program, I want to print a number between 1 to 20, but if the number we counted even and multiple of 10, we will stop there. This is a program. Program is we want to print a number between 1 to 20, but when we encounter a number which is a even a multiple of 5, we will stop there. This is the program. Let's see how we will do it. So let's do it with the for loop. For I say count so between 1 and 20 we need to see let's use a number. It's okay. So what this program will do? First of all, it will print the count 1 to 20. Let's see that. So you will set a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So it is printing the number up to 20. It's not printing 20 because we have put a condition less than 20. So what I want is if I counter a number which is an even and multiple of 5, we will stop there. So now we put a condition if count modulus 2 equal to 0. That is, this condition is for even number. If I got an even number, and the second condition is if it is a multiple of 5. Then what we need to do? We need to stop. How will stop? We will terminate the condition. So to terminate, not condition, to terminate the loop. To terminate the loop, we will use which statement? break statement. So break statement, when this encounter, the break will terminate and the control comes here. So let print f any message here. Program. So again, what we are doing is we are printing a number from 1 to 20, and if we counter a number which is a even number and multiple of 5, we will stop there. So you can see that we can 1 which is not a even, 2 is a even but it's not a multiple of 5, 4 is even but not a multiple of 5, and 6 is even not a multiple of 5, 8 is even but not a multiple of 5. Then comes 10. 10 is even and it's multiple of 5. So when 10 comes, loop it terminates and it come out of the loop and it will print program ends. So this is the use of the break statement. So break statement is generally used to what? It generally used to terminate the loop. So if there are nesting of loops, two loops, that is one loop within the another loop, then break statement will only terminate from the innermost loop. Let's suppose we have this loop. And in this loop, we have for loop. So this break statement will terminate from this for loop only. It will not terminate from this while loop. So break statement always terminate the innermost loop. Continue statement. This is another statement, continue. So this continue statement causes the control to jump to the top of the loop, effectively skipping any code below the condition. So it's just opposite to the break. So what it do is, if its counter continues, it skip all the statement below that and jump the loop to the top of the loop. So let's do that. Let's do the same program. So here what I need to do is I need to print all the numbers for 1 to 20, but I don't need to print a number which is a even and multiple of 5. So what does it mean when I counter a number which is a even and multiple of 5? I don't need to print. I need to skip it. So I will use a continue statement. So what will we do? First one number, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When 10 is encountered, so it will say continue. It will skip this statement because continue will skip all the statement. It will skip this statement and the control will be jumped to the top of the loop and counter will be incremented. So let's see. In this program, 10 will not be printed. So you can send a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9. So there is no 10 here. Then 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. So that means whenever this condition is true, this statement after all the continue statement will be skipped and the control will pass to the top of the loop and the counter is incremented. So this is a continue statement. This is the same program. I hope you have understood the concept of the loops. So please do subscribe the channel for more updates. Thank you.